Ever wonder why Japanese households seem to stack up money effortlessly while most Americans live paycheck to paycheck? It's not about earning more. It comes down to age-old tactics they've perfected over generations. Even Warren Buffett admits his richest friends are Japanese, and they all follow the same core wealth principles. Yet they do it quietly. No flashy cars, no sprawling mansions, no overt displays of wealth. So what's their edge? I've uncovered 10 rock-solid financial rules that explain why Japanese families are masters of lasting prosperity. Think of each rule as a fragment of an ancient puzzle. Assemble them all, and your entire mindset about money shifts. The final rule is the ultimate game changer, the line between genuine financial security and just looking wealthy. It goes completely against the grain of how most Americans think, so nearly everyone overlooks it. We'll count down from 10 to 1, saving the most potent insight for last. By the time we hit number 1, you'll see how Japanese families can grow real wealth even on modest incomes, without reckless gambles or drowning in debt. Let's kick things off with secret number 10. A foundational concept that will forever reshape how you view prosperity. Imagine waking up tomorrow with $0. How fast could you bounce back? Most would panic. I'm screwed without cash. In Japan, though, wealth means far more than the digits in your bank account. This idea was so eye-opening that Warren Buffett credits it to his Japanese friends. In America, we measure success by material stuff: houses, cars, portfolios, that designer watch on your wrist. The Japanese focus on what they call invisible assets, resources nobody can steal: your network, your reputation, and your hard-won knowledge. Here's a real example. I met a Japanese entrepreneur who lost everything during the 2008 financial crisis. Yet in under a month, he had 3 job offers and several investors lining up to collaborate. How? He had spent years building something far more valuable than cash: rock-solid trust and deep relationships. Harvard researchers confirm it. People with strong invisible assets recover financially up to 2 times faster after a downturn. Think about it. Who in your circle could hook you up with a new role tomorrow? Who would lend you money without blinking? Those connections are your real safety net. And here's the kicker. While cars and houses depreciate over time, your invisible assets only appreciate. Every new skill you learn, every relationship you nurture, every lesson you absorb compounds into greater value year after year. It's like holding an investment that never stops growing and can never be seized. Have you considered how to start building your own invisible assets? If this concept intrigues you, just wait until you hear the next Japanese secret. I'll reveal an ancient method they use to convert these unseen resources into actual cash flow. And anyone can apply it today, even from scratch. Now let's dive into secret number 9, the Cabo method. Have you ever looked at your bank statement at month's end and wondered, where did all my money go? You're definitely not alone. Many Americans wrestle with organizing their finances, but for more than 100 years, Japanese savers have used a straightforward technique called Cabo to tackle precisely this issue. Major Japanese banks even endorse it. While most of us depend on complex spreadsheet systems and budgeting apps, the Japanese stick to something far more basic: a simple notebook. Yet don't underestimate its power. Research shows families who practice the Cabo approach keep 35% more of their income compared to those relying on digital trackers. Why does it work? Because jotting down every dollar outflow forces you to think twice before handing over cash. Consider this. When was the last time you felt any hesitation swiping your credit card? Digital transactions conceal money's true value, making spending feel painless. The Cabo method reverses that invisibility. When you physically record every purchase, money regains its tangible weight, and with it, your spending discipline. A recent survey of 1,000 Japanese households found virtually zero credit card balances among Cabo users. This remarkable result was not driven by higher incomes, but by more mindful outlays. Every purchase must answer 4 simple questions. Do I genuinely need this? Do I already own something similar? Will it truly enhance my life? And can I find it for less elsewhere? You can test this yourself. Grab an ordinary notebook and split it into 4 headings: needs, wants, cultural or personal growth, and unexpected costs. For 7 days, document every single expenditure. No criticizing, just observing. You'll be surprised how those $5 coffees and random online splurges accumulate. More than a spending log, Cabo acts as a window into your money mindset. The Japanese believe your expenditures reflect your values, so seeing those patterns on paper clarifies your choices and ignites genuine financial change. Their next insight is all about financial minimalism. Ever bought something only to let it gather dust? The Japanese principle of Dan Shere challenges conventional budgeting. Rather than cutting harder, it encourages smarter ownership. In the United States, we're constantly told to buy now, pay later, or treat yourself. You deserve it, leading to homes cluttered with things bought on credit to impress people we barely know. By contrast, minimalism teaches that owning less actually grants you more cash, more freedom, more peace of mind. Here's a striking fact. The average American home holds 300,000 possessions. Japanese households, on average, keep fewer than 100,000. Despite owning far less, Japanese families consistently report higher satisfaction with their financial situation. By focusing on what truly matters, they prove that less really can mean more. They follow a straightforward rule: anything that fails to add genuine value to your life is just sucking out your cash. Here's a story from my own experience. I used to buy bargain clothing non-stop, convinced I was being thrifty. Then a Japanese friend introduced me to cost per use. He showed me that a single $100 shirt that endures for 5 years actually costs less than buying 5 $30 shirts that fall apart after a few months. That one simple change in mindset has saved me thousands of dollars and given me a far better wardrobe. Japanese minimalism isn't about living like a hermit. It's about being purposeful with every dollar before you spend it. They run through 3 questions before they buy anything. Will this truly enrich my life? Could I allocate these funds more wisely elsewhere? And will I still want this item a full 30 days from now? If they answer no to any of those, they skip the purchase and redirect that money into investments. It's basic, but astonishingly effective. Want to put it to the test? Take on a 30-day challenge. For the next month, list each non-essential thing you think you need. Wait 30 days, then revisit the list. You'll be stunned by how many must-haves suddenly feel unnecessary. Adopting this one habit could save you thousands of dollars each year, money that could be compounding in your investment accounts instead. Saving cash is only one piece of the puzzle. Next up, you'll discover why Japanese households almost never rely on credit cards and how that practice shields their wealth even better than the smartest investment plan. Secret 7. The Japanese aversion to debt. Have you ever noticed that swiping a credit card rarely feels like spending real money? That disconnect is exactly the problem. While many Americans use plastic for nearly every transaction, the Japanese take an entirely different approach that keeps them virtually debt-free. Once you grasp their logic, you'll never view credit cards the same way again. Here's a startling fact. The average American household carry $7,000 in credit card balances at interest rates exceeding 20%. In contrast, only 18% of payments in Japan are made with credit cards. It's not due to lack of access. It's because they understand what most Americans overlook. The true cost of convenience is the freedom to control your finances. There's a Japanese proverb that goes, "Debt is a burden heavier than any physical load." They see credit card debt as financial imprisonment. Consider this: paying 20% interest on everyday purchases is effectively working 1 day out of every 5 just to cover finance charges. Is that fleeting convenience really worth 1/5 of your life? A Japanese financial advisor once told me, if you need a credit card to afford something, you can't truly afford it. I thought it sounded extreme until he broke down the math. An $11,000 purchase at a 20% annual percentage rate, paid off only at the minimum each month, can end up costing you more than $2,000 in interest. Suddenly, that steal doesn't look so smart. Here's their solution. They pay mostly with cash or debit cards. Physically handing over bills triggers a mental check that tapping plastic never does. Studies show people spend roughly 12 to 18% less when they use cash instead of credit. That's like giving yourself a raise just by switching how you pay. Ready to try this yourself? Launch a 30-day cash experiment. Withdraw your weekly budget in bills and pay in cash only. You'll be amazed at how differently you evaluate each purchase. You don't need to rip up your credit cards. Just reserve them for true emergencies or for large, premeditated purchases you can pay off right away. But you can push your financial discipline even further. Sixth secret: teaching money skills from birth. While most American kids graduate school knowing nothing about managing cash, hearing only phrases like "money doesn't grow on trees" or "study hard to land a stable job," Japanese parents take a completely different route. By age 5, children there aren't wrestling with complicated investing platforms or fancy budgeting apps. They're learning the real value of each coin. Instead of handing out allowances just for showing up, Japanese families require kids to burn every dollar through helpful chores or small projects. The outcome is staggering. 65% of American adults say they live paycheck to paycheck, whereas Japanese households boast some of the highest savings rates worldwide. The core lesson revolves around 3 pillars: choose income sources wisely, save regularly, and invest with a long-term mindset. It sounds straightforward, but these habits compound over decades and even centuries. Here's a concrete example you can borrow today. Give your children 3 clear jars labeled spend, save, and income, and invest. Whenever they receive money, they divide it among those containers. The spend jar covers immediate wants. The save jar is for upcoming goals. The invest jar stays untouched, reserved for growing wealth over time. Beyond just handing out cash, make them earn it through age-appropriate tasks. Then, before any purchase, have them ask themselves, is this item worth the work I put in to earn this money? That question cements the link between effort, value, and spending. And there's more. What if I told you there's a Japanese system that turns saving into an almost automatic habit? Coming up next, the community-based approach that's so powerful, even big corporations are adapting it. Fifth secret: harnessing the strength of community. Trying to save solo can feel like an uphill battle. You start strong and fizzle out after a few months. The Japanese answer is a centuries-old method called the Tanomoshi system, which transforms saving into a team sport. Imagine 10 people, each contributing $100 into a collective pot every month. Once a month, the entire $1,000 goes to one member. This rotation not only enforces discipline, but also fuels motivation. Nobody wants to miss their turn. It's a proven formula that sustained families for generations and now inspires large companies to roll out similar group saving programs for their employees. The true strength of this strategy lies in its social nature. Research finds that those who pool their savings with others have a 75% higher chance of hitting their money targets compared to going it alone. The reason is simple. We thrive on accountability. Pledging to a group pushes us to stick with our plan. Think of it as a workout partner for your wallet. I recently learned about a Japanese family that applied this approach to secure their initial home. Rather than battling solo for years, they teamed up with 5 other households in a savings circle. In just 18 months, they gathered enough for a down payment. And since the group lifted each other up, saving money didn't feel like a hardship. It felt like a collective victory. Ready to start? Begin with a small team. Recruit 2 or 3 friends, aiming for comparable financial milestones. Agree on a monthly savings goal, say $200 per person. Track your progress using a shared spreadsheet or basic tracking app. Convene every 4 weeks to tackle obstacles and toast your wins. The secret is surrounding yourself with partners who are just as driven to build wealth. Imagine pushing this group dynamic even further. Up next, we'll dive into how Japanese households master a principle known as smart frugality, getting the most out of each dollar without missing out on life. This insight will revolutionize your spending mindset. Secret 4 explores smart frugality. Ever feel like your income disappears just as fast as it arrives? The Japanese call their technique motai. It's not about scrimping, but about extracting the highest value from each dollar. Grasp this idea, and your approach to purchases will be forever altered. Consider this. The typical American family tosses out $1,500 annually on unused memberships, spoiled groceries, and impulse buys. On the other hand, Japanese households excel at maximizing each budget dollar without a sense of deprivation. Their edge comes from not merely cutting costs, but upgrading spending quality. In other words, they aim to be savvy spenders, not cheap ones. Here's a principle that transformed my own finances. My mentor in Japan introduced me to the idea of value per dollar. Rather than questioning, "What's the price?" they ask, "What value does this deliver?" Take coffee gear, for instance. Investing $200 in a durable brewer with a 10-year lifespan beats shelling out $4 on shop coffee every day. Over 10 years, that single choice can conserve $10,000, more than enough to seed a retirement fund. This isn't a call to live like a cloistered monk. Japanese frugality is rooted in deliberate decision-making. Their rule of thumb: if an item won't provide enduring value, skip it. Instead of owning 5 average coats, they opt for one top-tier jacket. Instead of juggling multiple streaming services, they stick with the one they actually use. The mantra is quality over quantity. To adopt this yourself, begin with a value audit. Review last month's spending and pose these 3 queries. Did this purchase deliver genuine value? Could I have acquired the same benefit for less money? Will this purchase still matter in 12 months? You'll be stunned at how many outlays don't pass. Afterward, funnel those funds into areas that genuinely improve your life. Clever spending is only part of the equation. Next, we'll unpack a Japanese method for structuring your finances so efficiently it can convert even the most scatterbrained spender into a wealth builder. It's remarkably straightforward, yet it's guided numerous families towards significant financial gains. Third secret: envelope budgeting. Ever hit the end of the month and wonder where every dollar vanished? You are not alone. While many Americans wrestle with complicated budgeting apps, the Japanese rely on a brilliantly simple cash envelope method known as shuin bukuro. Unlike digital wallets that make your funds feel abstract, this technique forces every single dollar to count. Even top executives in Japan use it. They split their paycheck into physical envelopes labeled housing, food, savings, and so on. When an envelope runs dry, spending in that category stops automatically. Here's the remarkable insight. People using the envelope approach save 28% more than those relying solely on apps. Why? Because handling actual bills turns spending into a concrete decision. I thought my budgeting app had me covered until a Japanese friend walked me through his envelopes. Within 3 months, I discovered I was blowing $600 every month without noticing it. That added up to $7,200 lost each year. Once I switched to envelopes, my expenses were visible and under control for the first time. To get started, take your monthly income and prepare 6 envelopes with these guidelines. Housing at 35%, food at 15%, transportation at 15%, savings at 20%, entertainment at 10%, and miscellaneous at 5%. Tweak these allocations to fit your own lifestyle. The golden rule: never borrow from one envelope to top up another. If your entertainment envelope is empty, that is nature's way of telling you to stay in for a night. Beyond curbing overspending, this method triggers a powerful psychological shift. Watching your cash physically shrink leads to smarter choices. No guilt trips, no complicated spreadsheets, just instant awareness. And seeing your savings envelope grow thicker each month sparks motivation that no app can match. Now, let's take control even further. Next up, we'll dive into how Japanese investors approach building wealth and why their simple, time-tested strategy has made countless families financially resilient. Prepare to rethink everything you thought you knew about growing your assets. Second secret: investing like the Japanese. Why do so many people buy and sell stocks, yet so few accumulate real wealth? While American investors chase the latest hot issues and cryptocurrency fads, Japanese savers quietly follow a generational blueprint that anyone can apply, regardless of financial expertise. Here is a startling statistic: 85% of individual investors lose money attempting to time the market and pick winners. Japanese investors avoid that trap by embracing what they call steady stream investing. Instead of seeking quick windfalls, they focus on building wealth through methodical, consistent investments. More garden than gamble. A mentor once told me, if you cannot explain an investment to a 10-year-old, do not put your money into it. That simple rule has steered me clear of countless risky ventures. Japanese investors shun overly complex products. They favor straightforward choices like broad market index funds, high-quality dividend stocks, and real estate investment trusts. Their approach rests on 2 fundamental principles. Invest with a long-term horizon measured in decades rather than months, and prioritize reliable income streams over fast, speculative gains. They favor investments that deliver steady dividends. Third rule: never put in money you cannot afford to lose. For example, putting $500 each month into a broad market index fund with an average 8% annual return can grow to over $500,000 in 255 years. That is the magic of patience and steady contributions. Curious about how to invest like the Japanese? They start with the sleep test. Only commit to assets that won't keep you up at night. Begin by buying low-cost index funds that cover the entire market. Then add reliable, dividend-paying giants such as Johnson & Johnson or Procter & Gamble. These picks may lack flash, but remember, the aim is building real wealth, not collecting party stories. Now for the game changer. Our final insight ties everything together and unveils the most powerful principle in Japanese wealth creation. It draws a clear line between those who secure lasting financial stability and those who only appear affluent. Once you internalize this, you will never view money the same way again. First deep secret: silent wealth. Have you noticed that people driving exotic cars and living in palatial homes might actually be overextended? That taps into a core Japanese concept called silent wealth, which flips the flashy American success narrative on its head. A recent study shows that 80% of American millionaires drive ordinary cars and live in modest homes. Sound familiar? That mirrors life in Japan, where the truly wealthy quietly build their fortunes rather than borrowing to buy appearances. When was the last time you saw a Japanese executive flaunting luxury photos online or roaring down the boulevard in a sports car? The principle is simple. True riches don't need a spotlight. Many affluent Japanese families dwell in unassuming houses, send their children to public schools, and skip designer labels altogether. Why? They know that every dollar spent on status is a dollar not invested in their future. It is like purchasing a painting of gold bars versus filling a chest with the real thing. Here is a lesson I learned the hard way early in my career. I fell for the fake-it-until-you-make-it trap, leasing high-end cars and wearing costly watches to look successful. Then I met a Japanese entrepreneur who blew my mind. Despite being worth millions, he drove a simple Toyota and wore an understated Seiko watch. His wealth was not in his possessions, but in his investments. Ready to embrace silent wealth? Try this challenge for the next 30 days. Before every purchase, pause and ask yourself, do I need this, or am I buying it for the approval it brings? Then redirect the cash you would have spent on status symbols into investments instead. Open a retirement account, build your emergency fund, or increase your holdings in low-cost index funds. True wealth grows quietly, far from social media likes and public validation. It may feel countercultural compared to the American norm, but consider this. Would you rather fill a garage with luxury cars or build a portfolio of appreciating assets? Impress strangers today or create generational wealth for your family's future. The choice is yours. For centuries, Japan has shown that the most discreet fortunes carry the greatest influence. Now that you've absorbed these game-changing Japanese money strategies, which one resonated with you the most? Would you rather parade your success or quietly build lasting wealth? Share your choice below. I read every response and love seeing your perspective.